love him, but no. Okay, whenever you're ready to.
So how did you get interested in the healthcare?
My mother was a nurse. She worked for 30 years at Mercy Hospital nights on a medical surgical floor, and so she saw lots and lots of things happen. You know, a lot of times people are sicker at more, ill at night, and so she was always kind of an inspiration to me. My husband and I were farmers and knew we had to do a career change. I was 28 years old when I went to nursing school. When I was in high school, I was going to be a teacher, English teacher. So when we were 28, we had career changes, and I says, I think I'll go to Iowa Western and become a nurse. And that's about as much thought as I put into it, to be honest with you. I went to Iowa Western, and their program is really unique because you can go for 1 year, get your licensed practical nursing license, which I did, and then after I got my LPN, I went and worked in the float pool at Emmanuel Hospital, almost full time. I was married, had 2 children, and after 1 more year, I got my associate degree RN from Iowa Western, and then I worked full time at Emmanuel. So it was never really anything I thought about that closely for myself. I admired my mother as a healthcare professional, and it was almost kind of an economic need at that time to make that kind of a career choice. And what's nice about healthcare is it can evolve and change, and you can excuse me go into different areas based on your, in my case, family needs. I worked on call when my kids were older, but when they were little, I couldn't so much. So it's wasn't anything it wasn't my high school dream, but when I became an educator, it kind of in a roundabout way it did.
So then, can you tell me about your background in the healthcare and what areas of medicine you have worked in?
Okay, kind of alluded to that initially there. I was on the float pool at Emmanuel Hospital, and that is, such an important thing. I think if you can work part-time, I had to work full-time, but if you can work part-time while you are in school, if you can work as a CNA while you're getting your LPN, if you can work as an LPN while you're getting your RN, if you can work as an RN while you're getting your nurse practitioner, if you can keep getting that practical experience while you are advancing your degree, I think that's really important. That's what I did. I had so many experiences that I wouldn't have learned from a classroom situation. So worked as an LPN in the float pool, saw everything. Then I got into labor and delivery and really enjoyed maternal child. I really enjoyed the high-risk part of the obstetrical part. Did that when I was younger, it's kind of, and I worked nights and full-time, and so that was a good choice for me. Well, my kids got in high school, and at that time, it was 8-hour shifts. You had to work every other weekend. Well, my kids were in high school. They were in activities, and there was an opening for surgery at Mercy Hospital here in Council Bluffs. I only had to take call every few weekends. Didn't even have to work every weekend. So I did that, and that was a great experience for me because I did multi-system exposure to diagnoses. For instance, I hadn't any experience in orthopedics. Well, I'm in with cases total hips, total knees, So that, I think, helped me be a better teacher of anatomy, medical terminology down the road because I had such multi-system experience. So more so than if I'd just been in obstetrics. Did that, and then my husband was a locomotive engineer for Union Pacific, and he was on call 24/7 for 34 years, as it turned out. And we got tired of passing each other on the interstate, and Iowa Western advertised for a position, first of all, obstetrical nursing at the college for their nursing program, or this kind of new high school program thing. And so I interviewed for both, was offered both positions, and had to make a decision. And I thought, I don't want high school kids, and I just decided, nope, I think I would like to initiate and start this new program. And so in 1992, that's what I did. Did it, worked for Iowa Western, then Councilville Schools, and kind of developed the program. First year we had about 11 kids, and when I left there was going to be over 100, signed up. Right now, I'm doing some consulting work for Papillion La Vista Schools and Allegiant Midlands, where I'm the department head for their Health Systems Academy. And even though I retired, that's my retirement job. So that gets us up to today, I guess.
And then, what is your background then in the teaching students interested in careers in healthcare?
Well, the program initially, years and years ago, it was before I came on board. It was but it was a certified nursing assisting course. And their numbers kept going down, because at that time, this was in the 80s, and nursing, there was kind of a glut of nurses. There wasn't a nursing shortage. And so a lot of nurses would graduate and they couldn't find jobs locally. So the nurses CNA program numbers kept going down. School systems can't keep teachers, employed that are, have few students. So what they did was they said, well, it'll be a half-time program. The instructor says, I don't want to do that. So she went to a different school system. When I came on, I revamped it and I made it a kind of a comprehensive overview of many the base courses, whether you're going to go be a veterinary assistant, a dental assistant, an MD, or an RN. What will all those programs have in common? They all have to have anatomy. They all have to have physiology. They all have to have medical terminology. They all have to have leadership skills, which is why I really stress the HOSA component of it. They have to have the healthcare professionalism. How do you look? How do you behave? What is appropriate in a care facility? Job exploration, career exploration. A lot of students have preconceived ideas. Well, I want to be a doctor because I watch, private practice or Grey's Anatomy, and that's how it's going to be. Or I want to be a forensic pathologist because I watch CSI. So they needed to get in there and see the real world of healthcare. And so a job shadowing component I felt was kind of important. So it took, quite a few years of developing this kind of integrated program that hadn't existed before, and I think that met the needs of a lot of kids. I think they saw where, yes, I'm in this class and the kid over here next to me wants to be a doctor and I want to be a veterinarian, but we're taking courses that we both need. So, I got to see a surgery and I got to see a delivery. I'm not going to be a surgeon, I'm not going to be an OB doctor, but that is going to show me the care that was involved. And another thing too that I thought was really important when I designed this program was the interrelatedness of departments at the hospital, or the interrelatedness with community resources. For instance, I had a student assigned to the laboratory. They may not be a lab tech or a phlebotomist, but people that went in that hospital were going to need lab work. And we're going to need assessment of blood gases if they, had been admitted with asthma attack or something. So I think that was an important part, was to kind of see the forest for the trees, as I would say. And so that's kind of how I formulated the program.
So then how many students might you have taught over the course of the career?
Hundreds. I'm assuming maybe 1,000. I don't know. 20 years almost. So just in the last 2 years at Papillion La Vista, I've had 160. So.
Do you find that more students earn their degrees and are actively still working in medical careers from the early part of the teaching career than the numbers of students who are earning their degrees and working in healthcare today?
I did a survey, postgraduate survey in the early 2000s. And at that time, about 80% were in school or working in healthcare. And maybe not what they thought they were going to do. They may be working as they said, I was going to go to medical school, I'm an RN. Or I was going to be a dentist, I'm a dental assistant. And it was close to 80%. Probably my peak time of when I think students went into it, stayed with it, and achieved really high levels would be probably 2000 to 2004. I had lots and lots of students came in from the Tucker Center from all schools locally, and it was a very competitive program. It was very desirable to be in the program, had high academic expectations, and so I think they all kind of helped each other. I had a hostable team, which is, you know, kind of the trivia of healthcare. And I had a hostable team that placed nationally like 2 or 3 years in a row. And those kids are doctors. They're, you know, nurses. They're health, you know, hospital administrators. So, you know, I think that there was kind of a culture of really high expectations, probably about 10 years ago. And so I think that's when I saw it peak.
Yeah. And then why do you think that is?
I think maybe the expectations, not on my part, but maybe program-wise, I think we're a little compromised. You know, and I'm being honest with you. I'm at the Papillion La Vista Health Academy right now, and they have, I just went through the applications for next year. They have to have interviews, they have to have references, they have to apply, they have to have certain GPAs, they have to have certain AP classes in advance, and I don't believe the program should be elitist, because there will be students that maybe they will work for years as a certified nursing assistant, but they still had to show that desire because it's so competitive to get in the program. I think that is real, because when you apply for nursing programs, there's going to be waiting lists. When you apply to medical school, maybe the only reason you didn't get in med school was because you didn't get a good grade in organic chemistry. I know of a lot of students that when they get to college, they think they can do the same thing they did in high school, and it doesn't work. And so that may be the reason, to answer your question, that I see is maybe unrealistic expectations of their amount of effort they have to put into it.
And then for my senior project, my hypothesis is that many students from Council Bluffs who are interested in careers in health-related fields do not finish their degrees because of a lack of support in their own backyards, so to speak. Do you agree that this might be the case?
It could be a real contributing factor. And especially now that with social media, there's no reason to not do something like this. You know, again, 10 years ago, you didn't even have, you know, people didn't even have cell phones that they could communicate with each other. You know, everybody had landlines, and I think now is a good time to do this.
In my own experience, after graduating from high school, neither of my parents considered going to college. And then for me then, the idea of graduating from college and applying to medical school seems very overwhelming. I'm hoping to create a social media website that links together students interested in medical careers with people also originally from the Council Bluffs area who are from 5 to even 45 years out of school and working in healthcare related fields. Would you agree that there is a need for today's students interested in health careers to have access to the support of professionals in the field?
Yes. And like I said, there's a real, you have the mechanism to do it, you have the need for it, so yes, indeed, I think it's a valid option.
I've been thinking about including links on my site for textbook, buy-sell trades, notices of study group meetings, outside support resources, advice postings from individuals working in careers in healthcare, as well as job postings. Are there other categories of information that you think I should include?
Like you said, maybe an online store, you know, where, like you said, textbooks. I think that's important. Support group, I think, you know, study groups, you know, even as online study groups. I think, you know, postings where, oh, I'm taking this course at Clarkson, and just to give you a little hint, that teacher's a stickler on being punctual. Something like that just get you, you know, if that first day or you're on time or early and because someone gave you that hint, you know, or a good place to park at the med center is this place, you know, or I mean something as maybe mundane as that, but if it helps ensure success. Oh, I did a good job in class today because I wasn't late because I didn't have a hard time finding a place to park. You know, little things like that I think are important too. Plus, probably the most important, I think, are job postings. You know, I'm working as a CNA at Bergen in labor and delivery, and the gal that's there, her husband got transferred. There's going to be an opening. you know, before it even gets posted.
Yeah.
You know, that networking is so important. You know, if you're not networking, you're not working. So,
Well, that was all my questions. So
okay,
thank
well,
you for coming in.
hopefully this helped.
Yeah.